Welcome to the Sci-Fi and Sunshine podcast. This is Bria from the Sci-Fi and Sunshine podcast of Running Mom and a speculative fiction author. And I want to bring everybody inside a little shop before I get into the episode. I'm going to be sharing a clip in just a minute from an interview that I did with an author talking about some interesting AI topics. But before I do that, I'm going to bring you all to one of my favorite places. It's a little busy right now, so you might hear some chatter in the background. This is one of my favorite locations. I think I can flip it around. Hold on. This location is called Fit Stop Eatery, and they are big Star Wars fans. You get the picture. This is one of my favorite places because the owners love Star Wars. And I'm going to show you just how much. So bear with me. Flip it around. This is seriously one of my favorite places in this area and, anywhere. It's called Fit Stop Eatery. They do smoothies and bowls and stuff like that while loving Star Wars, just living their best lives. So it is really fun to come in here. They have quite the collection of Star Wars stuff. I've been here a bunch of times, so I've done videos before, but I just thought I would throw it up on the podcast. This back little room has all the weapons. It's kind of dark back here, so hopefully you can see this okay. Little store puppy right there. Hi. Okay, so I like to come in here a lot because I just get my Star Wars fix. And they usually have fun Star Wars music playing. We're gonna go over the other side. And check out some of this stuff. Alright, so if you're like me, you love Star Wars. So you got the tour of Fit Stop, and I'm enjoying my little protein shake here. And I just thought this would be a good start to the latest episode of the Sci-Fi and Sunshine podcast. And I want to show you these little Lego guys. Here's Princess Leia. Okay, I'm going to hand you off to a little clip where I'm interviewing an author named Allen Brokken and talking to him about AI language models. And this was a chat that I had a few months back. I'm trying to remember exactly when. Still extremely pertinent to today. I know how quickly things change with AI, but a lot of this stuff is still extremely present to what's going on with ChatGPT, the AI language model. So I hope you find this very interesting, because I certainly did. And one of the things that I find kind of most interesting is the whole thing about AI being taught how to lie. So with that said, head on over. And I hope you enjoy.
Hi, and welcome back to Sci-Fi Hour at Joy on Paper Radio. I am your guest host, Bria Burton, filling in for the amazing Patsy Gill. And I just want to give a big thanks to Big Ed, producer extraordinaire in the studio, helping me out today. And we have another incredible guest. So we just had an awesome chat with author John Della Rose, who does graphic novels. So we're going to say hello to Allen Brokken and welcome him on to Sci-Fi Hour. Hello, Allen.
Hey, it's great to be on the show.
I am so excited to have you here, and I will just fill in the listening audience right now. I got the opportunity to meet you in person at the Realm Makers Writers Conference just this last July, and you were speaking with another friend of Joy on Paper, Alan Arnold, who both of you were talking about artificial intelligence and what that looks like in today's world, what it looks like from your perspective as an AI specialist. And he was coming at it with a couple different perspectives as well. My segue into How about all these options that we're now having because of AI? Because 20 some years ago, I was in college over 20 years ago, and some of the things that we would talk about, because I was a creative writing minor and an English major, we would talk about things in the AI that were maybe going to be coming. And now looking back, I just think, I can't believe how much of it has actually come in that time. So you're coming from a giant tech company that I will leave unnamed, and you are an AI specialist. So let's start with a kind of a more broad personal question. What has the journey of watching AI and technology evolve over time from your younger years to the current day? What has that journey been like for you?
Well, I got to say, the first off, I'm disappointed I still don't have a jetpack. I was supposed to have a jetpack by now. Come on.
The Rocketeer, yes.
Yes, every science fiction thing I read, I was a big science fiction kid. I'm a big Star Wars fan. And I wanted a jetpack, and AI has not given me a jetpack yet. Although I did see an advertisement for a dude that's delivering pizzas with a jetpack. So that was a stunt, but hopefully I'll get my jetpack. But I think AI is actually making that happen, right? And that's the interesting thing today, right? There's a really cool company out there called Zipline. And what they're doing is they're actually delivering medical equipment using AI to get to where they're going in these remote parts of Africa that need, medicine, like emergency medicine quickly. They use AI drones to fly all over the country to literally airdrop medicine where it's needed.
Wow, yeah.
And yeah, it's fascinating. And so now they've adopted and they used AI to design what they're doing. So that was more of an airplane kind of thing. They have new stuff that they used AI that's a quadcopter.
Yeah.
But they changed the way the blades look. If you look at the blades on their quadcopter, it's very different. They used AI to design it, right? So
does it
AI,
look like a hunter-killer from Terminator?
It is not that scary because you can deliver pizza with it.
Okay.
No, so this drone flies over the idea is the drone will fly to your house, and the drone stays way up in the air, but then it's got a little pod it drops down that will accommodate an 8-inch wide thing, so you have to cut your pizza in half to get it delivered. But apparently they're working on drone-based pizza delivery. And no, it's not an HK because it's cute, like the line is cute. But isn't that how the Terminator starts, right?
Right, the HK aerial, stuffy version. It's like
it is, but it's amazing. When you look at their original application of getting much needed medicine to remote parts of a country that doesn't have the road infrastructure to do that, it's amazing. So there's some definitely really cool things that aren't Terminator-esque. On the other hand, I just saw a whole thing on the the drone squad in the Ukrainian war right now, like what's going on there, and how that's such a big part of it is the AI that makes that work.
Oh, yeah. And I think the thing that I keep thinking about is relying on an AI instead of a human. It's where are the judgment calls there? Where are those are the questions that come to my mind. So you and I got to chat a little bit about some of these language models and some of the issues that all not just the one you work for, but all the tech companies are discovering that these language models, and you're going to have to correct anything that I say that's not accurate, if I'm remembering incorrectly. The idea is that you can ask it a question and just try to find a fact about something, and it will spit back incorrect information. And that's one of the things that you were telling me about the machine that's creating the machine that's microscopic. Can you talk a little bit about some of those pieces? I found that so fascinating.
Yeah, so there were two different things we talked about in that conversation. One of them was just hallucinations. So what an AI is doing, any of the major models you might use, is it is inferring an answer, right? You give it some text, and the model infers the output it should give you based on the text you get it. It's guessing, right? And so I don't know if you've ever taken a standardized test.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And you look at the four things in front of you, you know, A, B, C, or D, and there's an E that's all of the above.
Yeah.
You know, how often do you infer that all of the above has to be the right answer, right? Like that's an inference you get from taking standardized tests. Well, that's a lot of what it's doing. It doesn't actually know answers. It's just inferring what it should give you.
So basically, the AI is doing the Christmas tree method that we used to do in elementary school with, if this answer's B, then this one's probably C, and I should jump to A because I haven't used A in a while for my answer. Does that sound about right?
It's a lot like that. I mean, because it's just statistical. Like when you're doing that in your head, you're doing some not solid math of, most likely, if they've added all of the above and there were no all of the aboves before, that's the right answer.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Okay.
Right? Like, I mean, we learned that with standardized tests, right?
Yeah.
Well, the AI does that, but it's just at a huge level, right? Like, they've used tens of thousands of chips over hundreds of hours to do what they're doing. And so it's still inferring. And so the problem is, once it's inferred an answer, it kind of likes to think it's true. Okay?
Yeah.
In other words, once it's given you that answer, it believes that to be true, and it doesn't have, like, a fact checker necessarily built into itself to actually go look at the answer and see if that was really true. And so what will happen is it will make up quotes that don't really exist from people that could have been real, but it made up the quote because it thought you wanted one, and then give you a link that's not to an actual article.
Yeah,
and that's a hallucination.
The ghosts in the machine, the hallucination.
Yeah.
So, yeah, wow. There are movies. I think there's an actual movie called The Ghosts in the Machine or something like that. And then now, today, there is an actual AI specialist telling me, yes, this is a real thing. So, and they don't know exactly why it's happening, or they have ideas.
Well, we understand the math behind it. Like, mathematically, this is a probable event. Like, and so there are filters that can be put on the output after the fact to, you know, keep out really dangerous hallucinations. If you go back to when ChatGPT first came out and, you know, all the news was around these scary things it was saying, and it just doesn't do that anymore. Some of that is training, like what they call reinforcement learning, to say, no, that while that you thought that was the probable right answer, that's not really the right answer, and you need to do better. And that's this reinforcement learning that they do to kind of weed that out. But then the other side of it is just stuff that's overlaid at the code level to try and prevent, you know, nefarious output and telling it to go give new output.
Okay, all right. And so is there anything they can do about it?
Well, so there's two things of this. One of them is there is a company out there that uses what's known as constitutional AI. And what they do is they actually apply a bunch of rules of the road, sort of like, think of it, I don't know if this is a good example, but think of it like a doctrinal statement for the AI. Like, it's a set of
like
very
the
specific
3
rules.
laws of robotics?
It's much more complex.
Okay.
We're talking about a language model. But
Yeah.
It would be the equivalent of that, right? Like, it applies the Constitution before the training. And what ends up happening then is it's less likely to hallucinate in certain areas because that's already weeded out. Okay, because basically they filtered it up front.
Okay.
But it doesn't completely eliminate it, right? And some of it is like, how often are you given a question that you give a non-definite answer? Like, you're not entirely sure, but you're pretty sure it's right, so you just say it.
Yeah.
You're making an inference, right? Like, you're making an inference. Well, that's the same thing, right? Like, in the end, humans make inferences that may not be right. The difference is, is your character good enough that you'll go check your facts and or listen to feedback? Like, my biggest example of this is, I see this in 2 levels, right? I had an intern that was like a high school student working for me. and he just didn't maybe have the best character because he would be wrong about something. I would call him on it, and then he would double down trying to say, no, I'm right. No, I'm right. And so that's a lot of what kind of happens with AI. And it's really interesting. Like if you ask AI to count how many R's are in the word strawberry, or how many R's are in the word strawberry, it gives some really interesting answers because it's inferring the answer. It's not doing math.
So I guess I find it fascinating if you say to something like Chat GPT, what is 20 times 50? Like it won't be able to tell you is kind of what you're saying?
I'm saying it guesses based on all the data it has. It's actually guessing what the right answer is. It's not looking at a table, a times table.
Okay. It's not a calculator, in other words.
Right, it's not a calculator. And so that's actually one of the things, like your brain has a facts engine in it that is just a storage of facts. And, I learned how to do math back in the day when we had times tables and you just had to remember the table, right? Like that was a thing. I don't know how they do it these days, but when my day, it was a memorization thing that put that in your brain, and then it's just in there. And I know that, 3 times 7 is 21. I just know that, right? And I know that to be true. Basically what ChatGPT or the other models are doing is they've seen 3 times 7 equals 21 somewhere in documents. And so it's inferring that's the right answer. But if a document it had was wrong, now it's going, well, I had 7 documents where it was wrong, and I had 100 where it's right. So it's a 93% probability that it's, here I'm going to give the right answer. So I should probably give the right answer.
This is definitely giving me the picture. Okay, so this is fascinating. And what when we talked about the machine making the machine, what was that piece of it?
Well, so right now, one of the challenges is the chips themselves the chips they're using to do the AI training are just very sensitive equipment. They're at this, sub 5 nanometer level of.
We're talking micro chips.
Yeah. The actual circuitry is so small, it's potentially subject to either like quantum effects, possibly, or if not quantum effects, it like just micro changes in heat can cause stuff to get disrupted. And so if you look at the chip design, like it's fascinating how complex these things are and how they come together. And so it makes it very easy for a chip that checked out today and was doing math and everything correct, that tomorrow, just by being, overheated for a couple hours or overcooled or whatever, just a power fluctuation or something, and now all of a sudden the chip is just giving wrong answers.
Okay. And so here we have this kind of dilemma of there are, especially as authors, there are many camps. I wouldn't even just say there's 2 camps. I'd say there's many camps. There are the kind of almost, let's just say, anti-AI purists of like, get AI away from me and my writing and the artwork and the cover art. Like AI is basically like the devil, keep it away. And then there's the other extreme that says like, AI is going to write my novel for me and I can't wait. And then you have all the many in betweens of, I think I can use AI as a tool to create some artwork. And then you've got we're taking away from artists. There are a lot of arguments, going around. So can you talk a little bit about, because you're an author who also happens to work at a tech company as an AI specialist, do you mind sharing a little bit of your take on some of these camps and where people sit? And if you're willing to share where you sit, that's great. If not, that's okay.
So on the one hand, AI gives some people opportunity they wouldn't have otherwise. There are some people that I would say are the augmentation of AI helps them be able to take an idea that they've got and, for cognitive reasons or other reasons, they just can't type it on the keyboard effectively, right? Like, especially if they're able to speak a story and AI can write it for them. Mm-hmm. I have no problem with that, right? Like as as an author, if it's helping you do something you literally couldn't do otherwise, I'm all for it, right? And then the other, but I'm very wary of the what do I want to call it? The diversity siphon that AI is. And so what I mean by that is AI is very much like Ursula stealing your voice in the sense of, as a human, what we say and what we write and how we think is very influenced by the words that are said to us, that we read, that we hear. So I'll give you an example. On my own day-to-day, I have autocorrect on my phone. Like, I don't know if you have that, but most people have an autocorrect, right?
I turned it
off. Good for you. Good for you.
It was driving me crazy.
Yeah. But autocorrect stops being just autocorrect. It also suggests things, right?
Yep. And I'm like, stop it. You do not know what I need. So yes, go on.
And so I don't know if other people may have experienced this. I never used the term no worries. I grew up in Midwest U.S. That's not a term we used here growing up. It's not something I ever did. But my phone started throwing that in as a suggested thing in chat, and now I find myself saying no worries out loud to people. That's a change in my voice that was brought on by AI.
That is funny. I had not thought of that potential of an impact I hadn't thought of. Yeah.
And so, as an author, I have a voice, and I want to retain my voice. I don't want AI to change my voice, right?
Right. Yes.
And I don't have the resources, nor do I want to give my data, my stories to AI necessarily to be able to train it on my voice so it tells my voice, right? I don't want to lose that control because it's my voice. So I'd say that's one of the pieces of it. But the point about the homogenization or the lack of diversity is, in the end, the AIs were trained against a certain set of data at a certain point in time that is not inclusive of all data, and, likely not inclusive of your voice if it's net new stuff you've written, right, that wasn't in there. So whatever it gives you will be that AI company's point of view on language, right? The rules of the road, what it accepts as good answers, all of that. And there's good data to show that in every aspect of, modern culture, the diversity of what logo designs look like, colors of cars, where people take basketball shots, and actual marketing content is being sucked out of it. And a lot of it, and it's much worse when you're using a lot of generative AI. And so while it's not a bad idea to maybe prompt something or get a concept or whatever, in the end, if you're trying to produce an original piece of work that is your voice or your art style or your whatever, you really want to avoid it simply because basically you're going to be influenced by this data coming in that is part of this homogenous thing from that vendor.
I have to agree with you there. Yes.
Yeah, I don't see a problem with it for sort of standard business stuff. Like you've got, if you're working on a strategy document and you're trying to come up with the elements of a strategy or something like that, those use cases make a lot of sense because you're getting help for a prompt to move something forward. But if you're doing creative entertainment and your voice matters to you, or you're a brand and your voice matters to you, you really want humans making new stuff.
This has been so awesome, Allen. I think that's an awesome point to wrap up on. I could talk to you for hours, by the way. I am so sorry we have to wrap up.
No worries.
Thank you so much for your insights, expertise, for coming on to Joy on Paper Sci-Fi Hour.
That's all for now. As you venture through this sci-fi world we all find ourselves living in, may you be the sunshine to the people around you today. Adios.